since morning you have been seeing me, and now it's again I'm here with my friends, and then this is the longest talk show we have for the day. It is a B2B panel. B2B has always been a complex scenario for the business, and digital transformation is doing amazing into the B2B area. Before starting, I will request all my friends to introduce themselves. We have Bharat, Fabricio, Reetesh, and myself here. Let's start with Mr. Bharat. Bharat Sharma is from Monsoon Consulting. He's my dear friend. Sir, over to you. Please help you introduce.
Thanks, Vatsal. Hello, everyone. My name is Bharat Sharma. I'm the founder and CEO of Monsoon Consulting. I'm based here in Dublin, and we are one of the European Gold Magento partner. And we have the privilege to work on some of the largest and most complex B2B implementation in Europe since almost 4 or 5 years at this stage. So really excited to be here and looking forward to talk to you all. Thank you.
Yeah, about Bharat, I would like to add one more line. Before Magento Enterprise included B2B Suite, they have been implementing B2B since then, before then. So yeah, I'm his fan, and then yeah, we will learn a lot of things from him. Now I have next guy, Fabricio from Accenture. Fabricio.
Thanks so much, Vatsal. So I'm Fabricio from Accenture, here based out of Singapore. I'm the current head of digital platform for Accenture Interactive, which is part of Accenture. And very happy to be here. So currently Accenture, as you guys know, the biggest partner of Adobe as the suite. We are currently developing and working a lot on the new, acquisition, which is Magento. Very excited with this new product, part of their suite, especially on the B2B space. We will have a nice conversation today. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and the next guy I have is Reetesh. He's from Ranosys with a huge years of experience. Reetesh, please introduce.
Thank you so much, Vatsal, and good day to all of the attendees as well as my fellow panel members. My name is Reetesh. I handle the enterprise sales practice for the APAC region for Ranosys. I've had almost 20 years of enterprise sales experience, and happy to be here and discuss ideas and share the knowledge. Thank you so much.
And in the morning, I didn't introduce myself because I saved that for this moment. I am Vatsal Shah from Pragmatic Consultancy. What I do is I help companies grow from small to big, and I work with system implementation companies and technology companies and help them scale up, say 10x or 20x, and frequent contributor and speaker in Magento events. So I'm a very known or common face, but today I'm going to do something different than what I did last year. So today I'm more relaxed. I have questions to ask this gentleman, and they will answer. So my first question for the B2B panel is, share your views about the current market and digital commerce surrounding which we see in the world, and how you see this B2B commerce as a growth catalyst for 2021. Let's start clockwise. Bharat?
Okay, so look, it's very interesting times, as I would say, since the beginning of 2020. In the sector I operate, which is around mid to higher end of enterprise sector, I've realized that it has been slow. So since the COVID realities has hit, what I've noticed is there's a lot of repeat work going in the market, but a lot of big businesses, they are kind of seizing on the big budget projects. So there hasn't been a lot of net new projects coming to the pipeline for us, and it seems like a persistent problem. And now what I'm sensing is that after the clarity of Brexit, which is happening hopefully in the coming month, new US presidency and the vaccinations program that's coming out very clearly, I'm hoping from coming spring onwards, market will have a new growth momentum. And I'm really counting on that. I'm sure we all are. And my prediction is, guys, this time, the growth momentum or the strategy for all of these companies, especially in the B2B sector, my prediction, it would be digital commerce first strategy, because last time when they got caught in the COVID-19, there has been a big problem because they were relying on traditional sales and customer engagement tools and things like call centers and sales reps on the ground or fax orderings or email, and they all have suffered. So I can sense the minute the budget has been unlocked, the minutes the central management started approving the money for the new work, the growth strategy would be all centered around digital first. And I see really exciting time coming for people like us who is into the sector. Thank you.
Yeah, Fabricio?
I think Bharat did a great job for the representing the macro data, right? COVID has been testing all of us. It's telling things can happen one day to another, and you have to be ready for whatever can come, especially on the B2B. These are the ones that always been relying in traditional channels. Will never prepare for such thing. B2C players always been ready because you have to be selling online. You need to increase how you do better, how you be closer to your client. But on the B2B space, now they are having so many challenges that they are calling us non-stop. We can see the growth of pipeline from our side on the B2B. Massive. To the point that we don't even have, resources for the demand. That's why our great partnership that currently we have with Ranosys, which we are, scaling, because even a company like us, Accenture, with half million, we cannot support the demand, So we need to be sure that next year, if we are seeing this at the moment for B2C and B2B, it's going to be next year. They are the only players which are not digitalized yet. And it's going to happen. It's happening, but next year is just going to be a massive boost. So I just ask everyone just to be ready for the massive demand which will be coming.
Okay, that's great. Reetesh?
Yep. So as Bharat and Fabricio rightly mentioned, that I think the first reaction of the economy was that of a shock and a stunned silence. And I think it is fascinating if you think about it, whether it's B2B, B2C, ultimately we are all human beings and we behave in a slightly predictable manner. So we also saw at Ranosys in the Q2 initial period in April, we saw a huge dip in the new order and inquiries and so on and so forth. But then the first thing which picked up was the need for communication. So lots of inquiries about communication and collaboration. And along with that, once people were able to connect and especially work from home became the new normal for the businesses and the enterprises, then they started thinking about, okay, how do I now factories were still working in China, but there were no ways that goods could be shipped out to UK or North America for that matter. And I think that is where this entire thing about the B2B marketplaces and market spaces, and that really got a shot in the arm. In our region, especially in Southeast Asia and even in India and other countries, governments have also stepped in massively to support, because while the large enterprises have the fiscal bandwidth to ride out these kind of storms, it is the small and medium businesses who really suffered, and government has supported them massively. So we are seeing these two very secular trends. One is the support from government, which is encouraging all the businesses to move on to the B2B side. B2C was always the established one. So yeah, I think it is going to be as many people have previously commented, it is the new normal, and COVID became a tipping point for B2B.
That's great. So if I summarize, what I understood is from the different part of world, there is a different realities coming in. So Bharatji said about European countries, and then these two gentlemen talk about Southeast Asia, specifically around Singapore. What I can see is one thing I can take from this is B2C has been more prepared because they are always on the firing line. They are in front of customers. And then B2B are a bit laid back because they are, so that's where Sir said that they were caught and not having data points digitized. Now, what I can see is in country like India, where the country is a developing nations, so we don't have a lot of choices then going or being persistent or resilient. So I can see that B2B adoption in India is a bit quicker. And then the marketplace like Udaan is doing amazing in terms of B2B trade. So I can see that people are adapting faster. But yes, in B2B, it is a lot of complex scenarios. So we will come back to that point later on. But yes, B2B is bringing a lot of traction. And thanks for echoing, different viewpoints from the different part of world. Now, my another question is, do you think in the CR region, Southeast Asia region, digitization of B2B channel will take over and replace traditional workflows? I think this question, let's start with Reetesh. Do you think B2B channel will take over traditional workflows?
So thank you so much, Vatsal. So I'll start with the fact that yes, if we go by market research firms like Forrester or Gartner or anybody, and they are seeing massive growth of B2B in Southeast Asia, especially Forrester estimates it's like growing at 12.1% per annum. And because of this COVID, we like to believe that yes, it is going to replace the traditional workflows. However, I would like to take a step back and say that B2B or any such digitalization is a journey, and that journey is peculiar to not only the company, it's also to the particular country and also to the vertical or the industry in which they are operating. And what do I mean by this? The fact is that across the board, while everybody is now clear that yes, digital B2B commerce is the way to go, but they are at different levels of maturity. And as such, while this is a flow which is gaining momentum, in the near future I think there will be traditional workflows also, and there will be this digital workflows which will become more and more mainstream. And I was reading this McKinsey article about, they had done a survey during COVID about on B2B commerce. What has happened very interestingly, which I was very fascinated, was that earlier for B2B it was restricted to small ticket purchases, maybe less than $50,000. Because of COVID, the executive is now comfortable to go up to maybe 200K or something. But there are still these extremely high value deals where there is still a huge resistance to do it totally digitally. So it's a continuum and it will continue. So yeah, the short answer is in the near future, both of these workflows will remain in force, and I think gradually digital will become more normalized.
Okay. Bharatji, what is your views on it?
Well, for the SEA region specifically, I'm not an expert, so I'm gonna put my disclaimer first. So I've no insight of SEA region as such.
But your roots are in India, so you know a lot of things about India, right?
Correct. Not only India, and it's just the kind of a normal human point of view as well. See, especially India or Southeast Asia point of view, there's a lot of generation point of view. There's a lot of younger people coming out in the key management roles and also in the business side. So the millennial buying user experience and expectation of doing business is completely different than someone who is about 60 or 70-year-old. The new generation of doing business is exactly the way they behave at home or on the B2C channels, which is, you know, that they use their mobile, they research their products on a website before they buy something, and then they would like to either chat with someone or send some kind of a digital communication. So what I anticipate is it doesn't matter whether it's B2B or B2C, that's all just the human way of communicating or transacting. The demand of these people's behavior would drive the need of B2B anyway. So any business who needs to sustain and who needs to hook up this generation of people, they would just simply have to digitize and modernize their infrastructure and for customer engagement point of view. So it's irrespective, COVID, no COVID, people have to do it. COVID is just accelerating it.
Exactly.
That's great. Fabricio, what are your views towards it? Because you are coming from the consulting firm, so you have a different outlook to this question. That do you think that B2B practices will have traditional workflows will be fading away, and then digitization will come up? What is your views?
So this is the first, it's a good question because this is the first thing that we are looking before even thinking of a platform or how we solve from a digital, or we just like, let's choose this thing and fix it. The first thing we need to step back and think, are we doing on the right way? Because the processes that we have been seeing 20 years back, for the B2B ones, if I take mining companies, oil and gas companies, when the way they are doing things, even those things, I won't call digitalized, but I will call advanced on the new world. You cannot keep doing the same processes that have been working for 20 years, and they keep working now, but they are getting tedious. And I'm sure there is better, optimal ways of doing so. And also that will be supported later by the technology. They keep telling us, and they always think that they're special, nobody understands their business or they themselves. And at some extent, it's true, because that's the way they do who they are, but they are not that different. And that's where the platforms, if I take an example of mining companies, they do have, commodities, especially on the B2B. When they are selling their products, their price change all the time, right? And they need to have a special features, special flows. When they are, let's say, actioning their items, you are actioning this shipment, we will go here, and there is bids on that. And most of the commerce platform does not support that. So there is plugins actually who will help you to get up to speed to this type of features. So there is not any showstopper who will tell you you should not digitalize. Actually, the opposite. There is so many things that will allow you to cover each of things or every single traditional workflow and even do in a better way. That's what we are telling to our clients at the moment.
That's great. In India, what I can see is there is a shift happening. And then what I can see is that a lot of traditional workflows, which was done, say, though they have a ERP in the background or warehouse management systems in the background, still things in a traditional manner. But what I can see is now some of the workflows are now automated. You can say machine talking to machine is happening. And then some of the companies have started adapting this conversation. They are interested in machine learning or IoT. And then things have started gearing up in terms of digital wave in India. I am talking to small and medium segment. But what I can see is they are looking for an app or they are looking for something which their salesmen or their processing people can have in hand and automate the things, and no touch B2B transactions are happening in place. So I can see that there is a wave in India. It's started, and even earlier it has to be just a listing portal of B2B. Now transactional portals are there over the B2B. Rather, auction sites are also booming up. So I can see that traditional workforce are changing a bit, and I can see the 2021 and 22 will show us different picture. Okay, now I have a third question is, do digital commerce for B2B lead to digital transformation? I think this question Fabricio can answer fast because his company is known for digital transformation.
Thank you so much, Vatsal. As you mentioned, right, we are the leads on the digital transformation, right? And it's a good question because on the B2C, we have been seeing there is no way or that you are not digitalized. And it ties back for the first question that you guys made, right? And you have to digitalize. The buyers that are buying right now are not the same buyers that bought you 30 years. And you still have the same channels, same ways of selling. If you think if B2C will have exactly the same way of selling 30 years back and now, those companies will not be here. And that's the way they needed to digitalize 10 years back. Banks are the ones which are still not digitalized. That's a separate topic. But B2B companies, let's say I become a new B2B sales lead, right? Which I need to buy something from my big company. I don't want to keep using the same ways of buying that my father or my grandfather was using. I need to digitalize and have easiest ways. And also on the other side, you as a owner of your B2B commerce, you should also be able to track what the behaviors of your client, right? To give personalization, give better pricing, especially on the B2B when there's so much quoting, what should be the price, right price, non-price. So understanding when he reject the quote, he approve the quote, that's exactly what our clients are looking at.
That's great. Reetesh, you have been from BFSI industry, which has already been seasoned in terms of digital transformation, but now you are seeing digital transformation wave to manufacturing units as well. What are your take on this?
And I think it's a very interesting observation because I'm a huge fan of macroeconomics as well as Peter Drucker. And as Bharat sir mentioned, that see, one is the societal changes where the millennial generation are used to doing the B2C kind of work, and that's how they expect in B2B scenarios also. On the other hand, there is this technological factor. So the B2B, one of the main reasons initially it was not going into digital transformation was the technologies were not advanced enough. And we all have been aware of this situation like IoT or AI and all those things. When warehouses become fully automated, it can do order management and so on and so forth. So digital commerce B2B is, my view, is a part of the overall digital transformation journey of an organization. They cannot just say that I do a Magento B2B platform and then I am done. It has to be an entire strategy first, as Fabricio also mentioned, that there has to be strategies, there will be changes to the workflows, and then there will be changes to the entire organizational landscape. And as you rightly explained, banks have been, on one hand, they have been at the forefront of technology, but they also have the biggest technological debt, so to say. But whereas lots of other B2B companies, for example, manufacturing, historically, they never had any major B2B digital commerce. So they actually can accelerate the digital commerce journey much faster rather than somebody who has already invested lots of money. So that's how I would like to view about how this becomes a digital commerce becomes a subset of the digital transformation journey.
Great. Bharatji, what are your views?
Well, I'll come from a completely different dimension on this one. Personally, I feel B2B businesses, call it manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, they are very traditional businesses, and innovation in their business is priority point of view is their product and service, which has nothing to do with the digital transformation. Digital platform is just a mean for them to improve their efficiency or get the order fulfillment or have their inventory control. And I don't see that these traditional businesses, call it India, call it Europe, call it wherever they are, I don't think they're going to hire a digital transformation officer tomorrow and say, let's do a complete overhaul of our strategy and change order management system and B2B and all of that. What they do is they do it by the market needs, the necessity. When it's forced on them, they look at that piecemeal because this is the last one thing they want to do. They are absolutely brilliant at their vertical, but they are probably not so great at the digital side. They need help, they need hand holding, they're almost scared because of the persona of these people. That's why they go to Accenture and say, guys, can you please help me and advice? So what I feel is until now, most of the very traditional B2B businesses, the digital transformation was happening at the area of ERP, where it was a genuine need for them to manage thousands of products, inventory, quantity, order, customer pricing. So that has been the leading factor, ERP solution. But now, as you know, I come from India and I'm a Marwadi guy. So we say, if you don't have an order, you don't have a viable business. So now, thanks to the post COVID-19 scenario, they need to find a different way of taking orders or different way of doing customer engagement. And hence, the need of B2B commerce suddenly is really, really point of focal. And I see going forward, all these traditional businesses, they're going to have two-prong approach. They're going to continue doing their internal efficiency around warehousings and ERP, but to engage their customer, they're gonna have to invest in B2B commerce, and that's going to lead the digital transformation of these businesses in a lot faster way.
That's great. I have another funny viewpoint here as well. So people like me are now, popping up a lot on, you can say, LinkedIn or everywhere. You will find a lot of business coaches are doing transformations or mid to big size organizations. So what we do is we help companies reduce their costs, and how they reduce cost is automating the workflows. So, and then the way Bharatji said, millennials and Generation Zs are coming in. Now, Generation Z is by default a digital generation. So they don't know anything except doing digitally and not doing it with the paper and pen. So they believe more in transparency and automation. And that is where this next generation is going to lead to digital transformation. So far, traditional India, I come from business family. My father is a warehouse distributor. The traditional business in India, I would say warehouse distributor or manufacturer will have a tight control of his business. So they have a lot of things going on runtime and dynamic, and that have with that pen, paper, and verbal communication. So converting that whole into the digital transformation is a huge challenge in terms of acceptance level. But now with the new generations coming in, they are bringing it. And then the way Bharatji said, he is Marwadi, I am Guju Bania. India business owner will adapt digital commerce and digital transformation if it is needed to sell more or sustain their sales. So I think this is the time where people will start picking it up.
Great.
So it is a fear and greed is going to driving factor in this conversation. Okay, when we talk to large organizations, what kind of challenges we find in implementing it? What are the huge challenges they have? So Fabricio, when you have a huge size client, say in Southeast Asia, and then you are trying to transform or you convert their workflows in digital model, what kind of challenges you face? And then still company goes towards it, looking at some key advantages. What are those?
I think this is a very good question and also very related with the questions that we have been discussing, right?
I ask all good questions, man.
That's true. So one of the challenges is timelines and cost, right? They are always so scared of touching those ERPs, those OMS, those CRMs, right? They are using the CRM as their commerce, let's say. You place an order through the CRM, and there's so much complexity on that, right? So they feel like, how much is going to cost me, and how much time? That's the issue. And then when you put in a flat mode, will everything work? So that's when we start evaluating traditional e-commerce, what are the advantages can be. So honestly speaking, I think in very complex clients, especially in large companies, the challenge comes when we are required of the customizations. I think when we use flexible platforms like Magento, for example, they allow us to get that extra level of customization that others will not. If, for example, if I'm asking a proper pure SaaS solution like Shopify or BigCommerce, right? You cannot do anything, right? You are tied to the solution. That's what it is, and that's it. But Magento, you have speed, go to market. So that solves the challenge of like, you don't need to wait 12 months and you still see something. So you can go quick. And second, if you want something else, I took the action thing for my mining company, which I'm working on at the moment. They want an action house within the B2B commerce, right? So you can still doing this thing, right? And the last one, which we are working also together with Ranosys on this one, we are building basically a global B2B marketplace. So that shows how there are no fear anymore on these things. They say, I want something bold. I'm going to deploy the first global B2B marketplace for B2B companies to sell through other, So there is so many beautiful things coming in. But I think the challenges is the way that you give them the confidence that you have been done this before, okay? And also show him in a manner that he does not need to wait 12 months to see something, and it's not going to be expensive. If you come with the right message, they will buy him.
In a nutshell, if I summarize, it is cost-benefit analysis going at a play. And then I think the person who's going to approve this is CFO.
Yes.
Now I have a question for Bharatji. What is the role of PIM, WMS, ERP, IoT, and BI in the large-scale B2B implementation you have done?
So look, it really varies depending on the client and their needs. So in some cases, I found ERP is almost becoming the industry standard. Most of the companies do use ERP. Now it could be varied all the way from SAP ERP and Microsoft Navisions and God knows what. But in some cases, it could be a homemade, home cooked, complete quirky thing or something you never heard about. So, but what I've learned is in most of the cases in B2B business, they tend to already have a ERP system. Sometimes they do use simple product management of Magento, but the order and pricing stays as well. But most of the cases, you do need ERP system to maintain your customer information, to maintain the pricing information, to maintain the inventory. So that's the kind of a key role for ERP system. And in most of our implementation, the source of truth about the orders, the pricing, about the quantity stays in ERP, and in the real time we connect the Magento system with the ERP system, and they talk all the time. Now, PIM system is an interesting one. What I feel is if in cases where client don't need multiple usages of the same product catalog, and they don't have a huge amount of product SKUs or complexity of SKUs, they probably don't need to invest in PIM. Magento PIM itself is adequate to manage those. But if you are talking about, say you have a few 100,000 or 20,000 SKUs, and you want to use that product information at multiple solutions in your digital transformation, you might like to have product inventory, or you might like to have a kind of a content management system where you're marketing the features, images, backlogs. So in those cases, if you want to have one source of truth of all the product related information in one place and streamline that with all the attributes around it, PIM could be a perfect solution. So these are the only cases where we suggest client needs to invest in PIM, or else we could use the PIM which is available in Magento. It's limited enough, but it's useful enough. Now, warehouse management system, again, if you have a consistent shipping fulfillment need, if you have multiple warehouses, not only warehouses, you might consider order management system to manage that kind of order flow and logistics. But warehouse management system is becoming very common and quite adaptable these days. I haven't seen IoT a whole lot in my client line of businesses. I found them to be more useful if you have a big ticket item each item is quite expensive to track, tag, and then manage that inventory. But if you are into food and beverage sector, you're selling beer to meat to, so it's just not relevant. So I think it's very industry specific where IoT is coming to the play. And also Europe is still way behind. I found you guys are way advanced when it comes to technology and adopting new things. In Europe, we are more traditional, very old fashioned.
Come back to India.
So yeah, so these are the kind of, again, business intelligence, standard business analysis, getting the analytics, getting the intel, what product is sold, the standard BI tools. I think most of them do use BI in one form or the other. Some people use BI tools, some people just have maybe Excel sheet and they try to slice and dice the data and pull out the information. And that's pretty much it from my side. Thanks.
Yeah, Reetesh, you want to throw light on BI specifically in this? Because in the banking and BFSI, I have seen in the large enterprises, BI is used in a different context as well.
In fact, even today in the morning sessions when our partners from Dot Digital were talking, and I think there was this, and in fact, in the opening remark, I remember you also mentioned data is the new oil, and that's how the Geo name was coined. So I think that trend is there. That to stay today. Even like platforms like Magento or any of these e-commerce platforms, they also built in lots of analytics capabilities in terms of where your leads are coming, what users are doing on your site, on what are the behavioral patterns, purchase patterns, so on and so forth. So I think this BI, or what nowadays lots of buzzwords are the big data and analytics. Everybody, whatever the sum total of all it is that as a business, I need to really understand who my customer is, and especially in the B2B scenario. B2C, it was always very, very well entrenched in terms of analytics and personalization. But now even in B2B, this is happening. And personalization can only happen if you have enough data about your customers, and that will help you do retention and cross sell, upsell, all those things. So I think banks have mastered this, but even pharma and all of them are now using this more and more. And I'm sure Fabricio also has been dealing with multiple clients across industries, and he can also vouch for this part, that BI is becoming a core foundational layer of your transformation.
That's great. Now I will have a quick questions to individuals. Fabricio, question for you is how Adobe products are playing a role in marketing and selling B2B products?
It's a very, I'm going to say it's a very good question, but it's a very good question. Now, and so Adobe product is where, Accenture has been super, super, super strong on the market. We're actually, well recognized in all the industry leaders, Forrester, Gartner, as the best implementer for Adobe. Even on top of Adobe, right? So Adobe is below us, right? Which is funny. So we do things of Adobe better than themselves, right? So they are very important because we in Accenture believe that Adobe, the experience suite is the number one on the market. Also highly recognized by everyone, and everyone on the market know that. Probably price-wise, we might discuss about that, but they are the number one, right? You have Adobe Experience Manager who has been used by everyone, even, competitors of Adobe like SAP Hybris has been replacing in CMS, used to use AM on top of that. In all our clients, we see this hybrid coming from Adobe plus Hybris. It was very typical implementation. Now we see a new growth of clients with the Super NES connectors with Magento plus Adobe. That really moved the client to a whole new different scenario. When finally everything gets captured, so all experience, your customer behavior gets through Adobe Target, where you can see this A/B testing happening. Then you can see all that information going into Adobe Analytics, and then you can empower that through campaigns. So you, as a client, which is buying this thing, you're not missing anything. And as a user, you can see that your experience is so good because everything that you want, it's offered to you because they understand you, they track you, they know how you move, and they make your life easier. Sometimes, in some clients where we implemented Adobe Experience Manager with whatever, right? You just go into the homepage without doing anything, and they're already telling you what you should buy. And most of the time, you end up, oh, you are right. Just buy this thing, and that's it. Especially on grocery, because they know that most of the time I buy my Coke Zero, and every time it's there, they have an offer, boom, ready for right here, and they make life easier. And that's where Adobe will make. They will not. They are already making Magento so strong. When you put this whole suite together, and that's how we go to the client. We don't even say buy Magento. It's like go with everything. because then you will create the end-to-end experience to the client. So we always say, go experience first, do not go platform. And that's why we think Adobe is super, super strong.
So Fabricio, I would say you have earned a lot of fans today by saying that Magento is going to boom, because this is a huge mad Magento community sitting here. And then when you say Adobe and Magento product are going to rock together, we loved it.
I like to call them M&Ms, Magento and Marketo. These are
Yeah.
combination.
Now,
Yes.
as we have only 5 minutes left, I have last question for Bharatji. I think that answer, I think you can give the best. I have applied as a talk in multiple places, but nobody has approved. But this is an interesting point I always wanted to talk. Being from the B2B family, business family, I always looked at, there is a manufacturer, there is a warehouse distributor, there is a stockist, and then there is a retailer, and then customer. So there are 4 layers of B2, B2, B2B. So when you say share your experience, or one of the worst or good experience you want to share about single level B2B or multi-level B2B, that will be good learning for people sitting here.
Okay. Look, it's every B2B business is so quirky, so unique, so old-fashioned. It's always hard to find a standard pattern. But I'll give you an example. I have a food and beverage sector client, and they are probably $1 billion business, but they have UK and Irish branch with hundreds of thousands of products. It's food and beverage sector, so each product has its own specific unit. So if it's a meat, it could be half a kilo of beef. If it's a beer, it could be cases. It's all unique and kind of different things. Now they are the biggest supplier of food products in Irish and UK market. So the refrigeration facility they have is like in the miles, hundreds of thousands of products stored in this place. Now, sometimes they sell it to small shopkeepers, pubs, small restaurant. So they need to buy similar kind of a product on a regular basis. Then they have special contract with very large hotel groups like Juries and Hiltons and all of that. So those guys, procurement manager, negotiate them a yearly price, and then they replenish their inventory on a regular basis. And then third kind of people is where they don't have any inventory credit control of these people. So people who wants to have a big barbecue party, or people who wants to have a birthday bash, but they want to buy bulk in food. So they want to do click and collect kind of an order. So what they do, what this client does is they have a separate Magento store views, or sometimes separate solution for each of the target audience. We never try to have one solution to all the buyer. You analyze the buyer persona, you understand if it's a chef who buys his inventory at 12 o'clock in the night when everyone has dined out and he need to replenish his pantry for next day cooking. He has a set menu. He has 15 minutes because he's cranky and tired. So he has a very fast order form. He just wants to say, repeat, change the quantity, and off you go. So we made a separate solution for that, and there's a separate replenishment for that kind of a solution. Whereas if you are a big hotel chain and you're ordering for 5 different properties at 5 different hotels, the order form itself can have 1,000 to 2,000 line items. And then you can divide that where it needs to go and when it needs to go. And then to make things even more fantastic, if it's a cold storage need product, it's a meat. Only thing you could do is you need to work out your logistic and say, if it's in County Louth, my big fridge store, a big fridge truck can go there only on Monday, Tuesday. But that client cannot take the big thing because the hotel is at the prime time in the evening. So you need to work out a logistic operation. All of that customization you need to do through Magento and their shipping solution. And it's bloody fun.
So when you customize Magento at this many level, where is the Magento?
Well, that's the beauty of this product. Vatsal. Look, we've been doing Magento B2B from Magento 1 when there was no B2B. So we have customized it so many times and managed the nuance. The first B2B ever on Magento Cloud 2.3 release was done by us worldwide for a client in London called Pragmatic. So we have abused Magento in every possible way. But the trick is going forward, because now we have some really cool features coming off the shelf. if you don't follow the standard, if you don't follow the compliances, maintainability of that code and extension of that would never work. So you need to follow very high quality standard and regression testing and performance testing for not just add one item to the shopping cart and check out. You need to add 1,000 items and make sure that the performance doesn't regress. You need to make sure if Liverpool Football Club wins championship and 10,000 people trying to buy the same bloody t-shirt at the same time, so server doesn't good crash. So that's the kind of a quality and regression and performance you need to consistently test to manage the high volume of B2B demands.
Yep.
I have uploaded, yeah.
You explained the complex scenario of food chain. Yeah, that is same my father is running. And apart from this, I have seen the similar problem when it comes to building material, or you can say chemicals. So now last question to all of us. It's a rapid fire question. Say 2 industries where you feel B2B transformation is going to be faster. Reetesh.
Healthcare and of course retail.
Fabricio.
Think consumer goods and mining industry.
Okay, and Bharatji?
Healthcare, life science, pharmacy, big boom. And then my favorite at the minute in Europe is construction and hardware DIY. Government is pumping money like anything. So there's a lot of demand for those kind of work.
That's great. Many people have loved what we talk, and then we have a couple of questions coming in. I will post that to you guys. If you can answer on the platform in the chat, that would be great. I don't want you to answer it right now, but just I'm telling the question. What efforts consulting companies can take to create digital adoption awareness for various industries? I think Fabricio should answer this. And then second one is how to make BI solve failing to outpace the competitor's problem for the business. I think Bharatji or Reetesh, whoever you want to take on, please do it. And then how long it takes B2B solution to pay off. I think what is the time of ROI when it converts into the business? I think this must be asked by some Gujarati. Bharatji, please answer that.
I'll take that. Reetesh should take BI. I'll take the last one.
Okay, cool. And I will say thank you to all you guys. It was loud talking to you. We should talk like this often. And I hope we all actually enjoyed the conversation. That was the best part. I hope audience would have done the same. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Have a nice
bye.
day.
See you soon. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.
Lovely to be here, guys. Thank you very much. So how do I answer this question by type?